While working on my game Void Titan, I came up with several ways to increase the overall value, trying to avoid gimmicks of course. This way players can feel like they're getting their money's worth if they buy it, as well as increasing the overall playtime and enjoyment. So I'm going to share them with you here, as many of them I believe are pretty universal. First of all, just so you can hopefully understand context for each of these points, I'll briefly explain my game. In this game you play as an elite soldier tasked with stopping Void Titans, massive terraforming rogue robots that destroy everything in front of them. When one is detected, you get portaled in, and by gathering enough of the different kinds of matter, each slightly harder than the next, you can build up to a point where you can create something that stops the giant machine altogether, all while trying to stay ahead of the ever-nearing Void Titan. Right now it doesn't look very pretty, but that's because I'm still in the prototyping stage. But now that you understand context, let's get into it. I added an end of mission score screen. This isn't anything unique to my game, but showing a player how well or poor they did can encourage them to improve or find new strategies. With this end screen, I created a reward system for successful missions. This will give some sense of earnings or acquisition and help players feel like they're making progress towards in-game goals or maybe even their own. Because I created a space where they can spend their earnings. This place also adds a nice calm change of pace from the frantic stay ahead of the giant death machine missions. To be lore friendly, after a successful mission, a player is paid with matter. They can then build whatever they want using this matter in the home area. Adding this building space gives the player the ability to set their own goals and customize their experience just a little, and adds a layer to the game that I feel is definitely needed. Right now there are only 3 blocks to build with, but I want to add many more options, which brings me to... I put out a poll and asked everyone what they thought about unlockables. Most people thought it was a good idea, and many only as long as the unlockable isn't just a cosmetic, or in other words, it adds some sort of mechanic or practical use to the game. Most unlockables will be recipes for new devices you can make while on missions. These unlockable devices will hopefully improve or add new strategies, hopefully changing the dynamic of the game completely as you go. And obviously the more powerful or useful a recipe is, the more it will cost to unlock and give the player something to work towards. Many of the unlockables in the home space will be a little bit more on the cosmetic side. I've already added the functionality to unlock new backgrounds. It doesn't look good right now, but it will eventually. And I also added the ability to purchase a larger space as you go. And like I said, I don't have any right now, but I want to add many more blocks to build with. But I don't want the home unlockables to be only cosmetic. I plan on adding some devices that display numbers of wins or other cool stats that the player can show off, and potentially other fun interactables. If you have any ideas, I'd love to hear. I added an item called a core node. This will spawn very rarely and is quite difficult to get, but the reason why it is great is because a player could win a mission and not even see one, but in the end screen they will see that it is something that they could have found and collected. So on the next mission they might look for them. Each one will increase total earnings at the end of a mission by a percentage multiplier. They're definitely worth going after, but because of how hard they are to get, you might be better off waiting till you have some better gear. These core nodes provide a great opportunity for more unlockable recipes, including this one, which is the Seeker Beacon, the device which you need in order to get the core node in the first place. And in the future I also want to add an unlockable which will help you crack into the geode faster as well. Or maybe something that can light up if there's a geode close by, saving you from needing to dive underground to check yourself. These kind of unlockables are totally optional, but by getting them it can dramatically change gameplay. That's why I like optional goals, because it adds a lot of opportunity both for a developer and a player. I created this neat menu where you can sort your recipes into 3 tabs. This way you can prioritize what recipes you think will be most important, and it will hopefully make your buttons less cluttered and list-like, especially as you unlock more of them. It also gives the hardcore players who really want to get good a way to optimize button positions. Now I haven't actually added these yet, but I want to add at least 2 additional kinds of terrain generation to play on. One will be more of a desert wasteland, but will be much more difficult to traverse, and potentially the Void Titan is sending little drones to try and stop you. Another will be a city or town with NPCs that you have to get to and use the Seeker Beacon to portal them out of harm's way in order to win the mission. Depending on time and player feedback, I may add other cool game modes as well. The next step is to do some basic playtesting, then make the game look, feel, and sound good. And shortly after that, I should have a public demo available, which will more than likely get me a lot of much needed feedback, as well as hopefully get players excited for the actual game. If you have any great ideas for unlockables or otherwise any ideas for the game, I would love to hear them. This is still the prototyping stage after all, and so there's opportunity for adding or changing things. I can't add every good idea, but I'd still love to hear them. And if you have any feedback on what I've added to the game so far, I'd love to hear what you think. Either way though, thanks for watching and have a beautiful day.